First, set up the green screen and set your camera directly perpendicular to the table and anchor. Find a room preferably with natural light and fill in the shadows on the anchors with a fluorescent light. Use another light put behind the anchors facing upwards to fill in the shadows created on the green screen. A handheld LED works great for this. The green screen here is hung on a smartboard. The goal of the shot is to have the anchor in the middle and have the green screen be the same brightness all around. You do not want harsh shadows from the anchors on the green screen. Make sure to do your best to remove any wrinkles on the screen. This will save you a lot of trouble later. Make sure to leave your microphone running as long as the camera is running. You want to film as few shots as possible, so have the anchors practice their lines beforehand. Leave the camera running and do not stop and start recording after each anchor has read their line. Only stop if you have to.
Alright, so the first thing you want to do is create a new Final Cut event. You can go ahead and create a new project, but we're going to name this one ODTV episode 4. Get your new project and go ahead and name it episode 4. Alright, now you need to import your media. So hopefully you have already imported from your SD card the videos that you took of the anchors, as well as the audio. So how this is organized, the way I like to best do it, is to keep the data in a folder within Finder. So I like to keep it in my pictures, ODTV 4. I don't have the packages in yet, but here are the anchors, and you can go in and you can see that there's 2 videos and 2 audio files. And hopefully when you filmed, you didn't start and stop after each anchor. The way that is most efficient to do this is to film all the way through, so the camera can do 20 minutes at a time. So just film for 20 minutes and then 20 minutes, and then keep the audio going through that entire time you're filming. That way you can sync up this one and this one and this one and this one really easily. So to import these, you go into Final Cut, right-click, Import Media, then go to navigate wherever you store them. Try to keep it organized. And then you can just click the big folder and click Import, because when you do this, it puts tags from Finder, so like it's going to tag the anchor clips anchors because they're within that folder within ODTV 4. So leave files in place. Don't do copy to library or else you'll have duplicates. So yeah, and don't do any of this stuff yet because you don't need to. Alright, now you have your files in here, and now you need to start syncing them up. So this file, Tiernan and Ella, matches with this first one because it's the first takes we did for the first half of the stuff. So you command click, and that allows you to select these things. So hold command and click different ones, but we only want to do these first 2. Then we want to do right click, new multicam clip. We'll name it ODTV Anchors episode 4 Master 1. That's just how I like to do it. Use audio for sync. Use audio to sync it up, and hit OK. Then we can do this for the second one. ODTV Anchors episode 4 Master 2. Then as you see, you'll have 2 multicam clips. You can open it up and it shows that it is successfully synced.
A look at a South American chocolate chop at 5 points. A sneak peek at the new science labs.
Yep, so now you can see, because I selected audio from both of these multicam, these are different angles, they call it. But you can see it's playing at the same time, and if I remove the audio from the video clip, it'll still be playing from the microphone.
Sneak peek at the new science labs.
Cool. And then how I edit the episode is you can edit the clips and the audio individually within the multicam thing, and then you come back out and it's still a multicam clip. So I'm going to give this some time to render because it'll make things go faster. Okay, the next thing you want to do is to pan out which clips you're going to use of the anchors. So the basic concept of this is you're going to watch through and find whenever the best clip is.
Don't worry about it. Then we can do that.
Flavors. ODTV reporter Carla Dugan visits.
So you might end up watching a lot of clips, but I would watch all the way through just to make sure you get everything. The best way to get the clip, in my opinion, to organize is to
Nick and Peter Dale.
use I to start selection.
Nick and Peter Dale opened Condor Chocolates in 5 Points on December 20th, 2014. The shop produces chocolate directly from the bean and focuses on preserving the unique flavors. ODTV reporter Carla Dugan visited the shop in order to bring Ecuadorian culture to Clark Central.
Pause with spacebar, and then O to unselect, or to end the selection. Now you have this part selected right here, and I think that's a pretty good one. So what we're going to do is hit F, and it gives us a green bar, which means this is now a favorite. You can go here, so this is just a file browser, basically. Here, and you go to favorites, and now you've marked this one as one of the good clips. You can open this up, and it's part of this multicam clip. So you can edit all these and find you'll find that like you can edit the color, and it's going to be the same for every single multicam clip. So that keeps your stuff looking the same, which is awesome. So now go back to all clips and do that for every single clip. Okay, now so I have everything favorited. I'm looking in the favorites folder and I have every anchor clip done. Now what you want to do is, just to make things really easy, is to give these keywords. And so what that'll do is put in categories down here to keep things very organized. So what you need to do is just watch through.
2014. The shop produces chocolate.
And this is a shop about, or this is a shot, the anchor clip about the Condor chocolate shop. So what I'm going to do is you can click this, and it tells you it's Command K. So you can just click this and do Command K, and then do Condor chocolates. Go to this next one, the intro.
A sneak peek at the new science.
So I'm going to do anchor intro. Do this for every clip. Okay, the next step is to start putting these anchor clips into the timeline so that we can put the moving background on, and so we can we can key out the background so we can make the green screen go away and make it seem like these anchors really are in a studio. So let's start out with this first clip. I'm gonna mess it up there. Drag it in, and then go to the effects, keyer, and drag it on. And you'll see that it does a pretty good job right away at eliminating the background, but I think we can do a little bit of a better job. It actually looks pretty good. If you see like brown splotches, kind of like this, then that means you need to refine the key so you can sample color and then sample out this part and it'll go away. So, but we're not going to do that in this case, so I'm going to hit Control Z and bring this back up, because actually the automatic did a pretty good job. But the way you can check to make sure that only you're at the part that you want there is to change the view to this. So we see that there's some holes here. You can't tell because of the black background, but if you put a different background on, you'll be able to see it through Tiernan's head, which is not good. So what we want to do is fill these holes. So now they're filled. And now this is where you run into some trouble. So you want to make sure you fill it the least amount possible. So like right when it goes away, so when you stop adjusting. Cool. Now you can go back and you can see that these brown spots are actually there now. So you can go to sample and then cut these out, then you end up with a whole new problem. So you really have to mess around with it to get it to the best. Oh well. Sometimes it's difficult to do this. You can mess around with all these different settings though. Edge distance will show you how far away from like the head it cuts in, so sometimes you can just cut away at the stuff. And that'll eliminate. So you can go back in here, and the edge distance, you bring it up, and it kills some of it. So that's looking pretty good. Spill level, when you film, this is the without any spill level correction. You can see that they look more green, and that's because the green from the background is reflecting onto our anchors. So this does a little color correction. If you go too far, they start looking a little too red, and that's because you correct green with more red colors. So I wouldn't worry too much about this because we're going to do some more color correction later, but this seems to look good. There's not a lot of stuff, not a lot of green through. Matte tools is another place where you can fix the holes. So shrinking will bring it back down a little bit, but that's obviously like really looking weird. Expand brings it back. So shrink sometimes -1 looks good. Sometimes you don't even need it at all. Erode softens the edges, brings it back, makes it a little bit transparent, so it makes it so it's not like harsh edges in front of each other, which you kind of want. So I'm going to bring erode just to like a little bit less than 1, and that'll make it look pretty nice. So yeah, now you can add in the background, which I actually haven't imported yet, but I'm going to actually make a new event, old ODTV Essentials, let's call it that. We don't need a project. So I made a folder in here called ODTV Essentials, and within this folder you'll find the studio background, the intro that Ella made this year, and the ODTV theme song. Cool. So we're going to grab this, drag it under our anchors. You want to have the clipping on so that you make sure it clips to the front. Copy it again, paste it at the end so it makes it all the way through, clip it. Now you can watch through.
5 points. A sneak peek at the new science lab.
You can see it looks pretty good. If you notice right here though, you can see that it's bleeding through Tiernan's head. That's what we don't want. So we can go back to the keyer and gotta fill the holes. So you really have to, hopefully your lighting was good when you filmed, because it'll make this a lot easier, but I'm going to mess around with it and figure out how to make it look the best. Okay, so I finally got the keying to work on this clip pretty well, so I'll scroll over here and show you the settings I got to. Not that you should copy these settings at all, but they are working. So basically what I did to fix the problem was there was some weird stuff happening here. There was some like part of the background that I guess it was too dark. So something that I could have fixed during the when I was filming is it could have shined like an LED light up from under them onto the backlight and make sure that this part isn't dark so that it keys well. The key to good keying is to have the entire green background the same tone, except there's no shadows, no wrinkles in the sheet that like make it darker in some points, because that makes it hard to key out for Final Cut Pro. So what I did for this little part in here was I just basically started from the beginning, zoomed to about 400%, and went down here and just watched to see if any of these little green things come up. And if they did, I would grab the sample color keyer and just drag on the spots, and then they would go away, and I would just walk through. So here's a part that I can show you what I did. So you go in here and go like this. Sometimes it messes it up, and you just have to deal with it and not do that. You can try again at another location, but sometimes you just get what you get. So I'm not gonna mess with that, but it did work for the rest of the clip until this point. So yeah, once you have this keyed, the clip starts looking pretty good. Then what you can do is I would just do this for the rest of the clips. But the next step is to make a compound clip of this. So you select it all and do new compound clip. So then you want to name this the ODTV episode 4. And the reason I'm naming all these ODTV episode 4 is if you have multiple episodes on here, don't want to get things confused. Episode 4, Anchors Intro Compound. Once you do that, it'll appear like this, and it seems like you might not be able to do any edits to it anymore, but basically what it does is it makes it so you don't have to deal with the background being down here or the sound. And you can open this up, and then you can edit it again if you need to, and then go into this and edit that if you need to. But this is, remember, part of the multicam clip. So once you have that, it appears under your, actually not yet. What you need to do is you can tag this intro. Here it is, intro compound clip. You want to tag that into your keywords, to anchor intro. And now it'll be in here. Yeah, so the basic concept of this is that you can open this up, and for the other ones, when it's just a single anchor, you'll be able to drag on top the pictures that'll be over the shoulders of the anchors. So if it was just here and here, I could drag a picture and then resize it and put it right here, and then just go back, and it wouldn't even it wouldn't be complicated in the main timeline. So the next step is to do this whole process, the keying, the compound clip, the background for every intro. Editing the outro clip, and pretty much put it at the same settings, just as a good starting point, that I did for the intro clip. But I also want to mention something that I did last time to make it look a little bit better. Is you don't have to use this entire frame of the shot, because you have the background behind it. The background fills the full frame. So what you can do on this top frame is actually crop out, or what I do first is transform it. And you can make this a smaller viewing size so that you can see what you're doing. But a lot of times it works pretty well to just resize these guys. So you can just eliminate some of that stuff from the frame and don't even have to think about it. So there's a table here that I definitely want to get out. And then, so yeah, that looks pretty good. Then what you can do is go to crop, and you can crop out this other stuff. And so Final Cut doesn't have to transcode it anymore when you make edits, and you know that you're not going to have to mess with it. So you can bring it down. Something I have to watch out for, though, is you can obviously like cut off half these guys, and if you just want to show their bodies, that's certainly possible. But just crop off the stuff you don't need. And that'll make it easier and a little bit easier for Final Cut, and also make it easier for you when you're keying. And then you can go through the sample thing and key out this stuff. For the individual anchors, we're going to do something a little bit different. Still key it the same way, and this keying is going to work pretty well because Tiernan's not there, so there's no additional shadows that like are created by the elbow, so it's going to work pretty well. So you see the keying, but now what we're going to do is she's not going to be in the center of the frame. She's going to be over here. So you can go to the transform, move her over to the side, and you can crop out this other stuff because she's, oh god, sometimes you have to deal with it. Jeez. Whatever. So she's going to be over here. Now when you add the background in, we're going to do the same thing to the background. We're going to actually make it seem like she's in a different part of the room by transforming the background. So we're going to make it like this. Make the background a little bit larger. And then move it to the side. Now it looks like she's being filmed at a different angle in the room. And you can put the stuff obviously over here later and mess where she goes. But just like that, you have this. And so the next time you film, you're editing a clip of Ella, you're going to copy this, Control-C. You can finish this to the end of the clip. But the next time you're doing a clip of Ella, you're going to want to use this. And so you have the same angle. And you always want to put, let's say, Ella on this side, Tiernan on this side, just so it seems like we have a different angle. And you can make a different studio background, like you can size it and move it around a little bit differently for the shot of Tiernan. But make sure to use the same angle each time so that it seems like there's a consistent shot. Another trick that makes editing this a lot quicker is to copy attributes. I recently figured this out. So what you do basically is, here's a clip that the keying is all correct. So for Ella shots, we know that this is the keying we want to do. So what you do is Command-C, just like copying the clip, and we can go back to the timeline. And so that was from this finished one. I'm going to go into this new one, click on it, and then you do Shift Command-V. And it brings up this paste attributes menu. So you can try to basically you can paste the effects. Like, so this will paste the settings from this to this. So you can do the keyer, paste, and then it makes it perfect. So that's a trick that I use all the time to make sure that the keying's right, but it's actually going to be a lot more useful later when we're doing the color. So you can edit the color for one clip and then just paste the attributes of the color to every single one of the anchors, and it'll all be the same. And so it saves you the time of having to go through each one and make sure the colors are in the right place. So it streamlines the whole process. Okay, now you can see that I've successfully edited each anchor clip, and they're all named by their keywords, so they're within these keyword documents. So now what you want to do is basically just construct your episode. So here's the intro. Then we'll start with Condor. Oh man, sometimes that happens. Just make sure to click on it and not drag. Then Condor. Zoom out a little bit. Let's go to soccer tryouts. Democalypse. Try to alternate between guy and girl anchor. Valentine's Day. Man on the Street. And finally, Science Wing and outro. So now in timeline, you have all your anchors. The only thing missing from these is the over the shoulders, and we'll do that next. But what we want to do now is work on the coloring of all these anchors. So to do that, you want to open up the compound clip and then go to this file, go over here, go to color. Then you can work on the color for this. You do not want to do it on this, because this will edit the background as well as the anchors. All we're trying to do is edit the isolated clip that is these guys. So to do that, you can open up your compound. There you go. And then start working on the color. So to open up, the best way to start working on color is to open up the viewer display, show video scopes, and this shows the wavelengths of where all the colors are. So as far as exposure, that's where I like to start. You can see this is the darkest darks, and this is the light. So all your colors are within 0 and 100 on the Luma scale. You want to make sure you're on waveform Luma. And you can, when you move this around, you can see it'll drop and move the scale as it does in the picture. So you want to have the darks be closest to the bottom without going under, generally. Then the highlights closest to the top without going over. And you can see the stuff that's not moving. These blues are part of the background, and so we're only editing these people you can see in the front. You can move the mids around to your liking. Good. To up the saturation in the middle a little bit. Saturation in dark also looks nice. So this is really kind of preference, but that looks pretty decent. Maybe a little bit too dark for my taste, so I'm gonna set some saturation. So I'm gonna move these darks, or the shadows, up a little bit so they're not super dark. Like how that looks. This is where you can get into the other coloring aspects. See, it looks a little bit warm, so I might introduce a little bit of blue to the mid-tones. Globally, it's hard to mess with global sometimes. The highlights might seem a little bit green, so you can either introduce a little bit of orange or red. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Make sure you like it though, because you're going to be applying this to every single one. Cool. So I like how that looks. Now what we're going to do is Control C on this clip. Go back, open up this one, Shift Command V to paste the attributes of color, and then now she's colored. Do this for every one. Brings a little bit of life into your seemingly washed out people. Now we're saving all this time. I used to do these episodes where I'd edit every clip by hand, especially the color. That was terrible. Now we are done coloring these guys, and our
are ready to put in the over-the-shoulder stuff. Okay, now the next step is to import our packages as well as the screenshots or pictures that are going to go above the anchor's shoulders. So how I have this set up is within this package, or within this folder ODTV4, I have packages, I have them named, and then you can go in here and you can see the package followed by the screenshots. I'm just going to rename this because I don't like that. Unfortunately for these ones, we don't have them yet, but that's fine. We can import those later. Okay, so import media. Same process as before. So just click packages, import selected, and leave files in place. And here we go. And now I have a little folder called packages. And you can go through here and then keyword all of these as well. So now I'm going to do, it's actually probably already under there. That's really handy. Yeah, perfect. If you name your keyframes as this the same thing as the folders over here, it'll automatically go into your keyframes, which is perfect. So let's do this one, Valentine's Day Man on the Street. So let's go over to our anchor, and so what we want to do is open up the compound clip and then start. So here's our video, and there's a couple options for what we can do here. You can bring in your screenshots and just have them go over in the entirety. We're going to start like right here, because just imagine the or we can start at the beginning, because it's going to fade in at the beginning and then fade out at the end, so we want it to cover the whole time. So then you can bring in your next screenshot, make sure they touch. If you want to get fancy and you don't have any screenshots, you can also import or put over a clip, and this will work in the same way. Just make sure to turn the sound off on it. It'll play over the shoulder. Sometimes it can be distracting, sometimes it's really cool, but if you have good photos, might as well use the good photos. This one and the one last, and you can retime these however you want, because you're basically making a miniature video. It's going to be playing on top of the shoulders of your anchor. So that looks good. Now what you want to do is go to transitions, and actually we'll do that in a second. Now you're making another compound clip. New compound clip, Valentine's Man on the Street, over, or I'll call it shoulder. Now we have a completely new compound clip. Let's go inside this compound clip, add cross dissolves to each part of this. Go back and you'll be able to play it.
Whether it's a huge stuffed bear or just another day, everyone celebrates Valentine's Day in their own unique way.
Now what we want to do, since this is its own clip, we can transform it. Grab the edges, and it's all starting to come together. You can see how this clip becomes
an over-the-shoulder piece. Let's move Tiernan over a little bit. Actually, sorry, we're in this multicam clip, so we can just grab Tiernan, move him to the side to allow for more room for our shoulder thing. I want to make it pretty much as big as possible, because this is probably what people are going to be looking at in combination with Tiernan as they're watching. Remember the size of this thing? You can check it out here. It's scaled 54%. So when you're doing the rest of these anchors, you want to just go over here to the transform part, and you can make them all 54. If that works. It might be different on Ella, but at least for all the Tiernan ones, you can make them 54%. Hit done, and that it looks pretty good. So you can play through it, and it'll scroll over as he's playing. We might actually want to make it a little bit smaller. Let's go like 52%, 53%. Yeah, I like that. And now we want to do one last thing to this, and we'll be done. Is go to effects. We're going to put a drop shadow on it. Oh no, it is. There we go. And it just gives it a little bit more depth. So that's how you make the over-the-shoulder thing. Now you just got to do this to. Okay, here's something that is actually messed up. You don't want to do. You want to do this to the rest of the anchors, but you see, like when I have this in front inside the thing, it makes it go from black. So what we're gonna do is go out here and do it on the outside. That way, it'll fade from a transparent background.
Whether it's a huge stuffed bear or just another day, everyone celebrates Valentine's Day.
And that works a lot better. So make it, you can watch through, make sure you're comfortable with how it's playing. I just watched that, and it seems like the first clip goes by
Whether it's a huge
a
stuffed
little
bear,
quickly, so I might go in here. And the great thing about this is you can always go back and change when it transitions to all these things. Give yourself make it exactly how you want. I also like to sometimes shorten up the length of these so you can actually see a lot more of the picture rather than just the transition happening. So let's go back, see if we're happy with it. It's obviously going to work a lot better once this renders.
whether it's a huge stuffed bear or just another day, everyone celebrates Valentine's Day in their own unique way. ODTV reporter Katie Sturdivant asked CCHS how they plan to celebrate the big day.
And that worked out really well. So now just do that to the rest of them, and the next step would be to drag your your actual entire package in. And you'll start to see the episode come together.
Celebrate the big day.
What do you do for Valentine's Day?
One of the most time-consuming parts of making the episode is actually making the credits, and it can be kind of painful. So what I normally do is go back to the last episode and copy the template of what the credits were. So you can see the anchor outro here. is basically a layered thing of a scrolling credits put over top of the anchors that fade into black, with the ODTV theme song over it. And the theme song actually ends at one part, and so I put it over top, and then it goes into the logo. So the easiest way to do this is probably just to copy from the last episode and put it in the new one, and then change the text. So I'm going to put it back here. It might get kind of nasty, but you'll get it figured out. So what you want to do is
Online.
cut the sound here by making a keyframe. Option click, drop the sound. Now you never hear anything that they say while they're messing around, and that lets us put over the theme song. But let's drag the credits over here, and you can pull these over together so that it is like that. Let's see how that looks.
OdysseyNewsMagazine.net. This has been Ella Sams
And Tiernan O'Neill
for Odyssey Online.
Cool, so let's actually start the sound a little bit before then. I want it to go into that guitar riff right after they say online. So that's probably right there.
This has been Ella Sams
And Tiernan O'Neill
for Odyssey Online.
Cool, so now what you want to do is drop the opacity on this clip so it can start slowly fading into black, and so you can be able to see the credits better. So if you go back to this other episode, you see it happens after about, I don't know, 20 seconds is when it's totally gone. So you can cut this short at some point. But now what you want to do is go into the video and audio component. So video animation. Go in here, brings up this editor where you can edit the opacity. You can bring it back, and this will slowly bring it down from here out. Now let's watch how that looks.
This has been Ella Sams
And Tiernan O'Neill
for Odyssey Online.
And so that's timed pretty perfectly, I'd say. Might want to drop it a little bit more in the start so that the people are paying attention also to the credits, not just what Tiernan and Ella are doing. So you can do this and drop it kind of quickly near the beginning by making more keyframes. Let's see how that
for Odyssey Online.
I'm going to drop it a little bit more. Didn't really do anything.
Online.
That worked well. Okay, now you can edit the exit the video animation editor. This is so this is connected to that. So let's make a marker so that's going to stay there. So we don't need this piece. we do want this. It's from the last episode. Now I can bring this back to where it was, because I made that marker so I know exactly how I had it. And the credits go for this long, then go into the ODTV logo. We actually have a new logo now that I'll put in there. But now what you want to do is edit what the credits say, because this stuff is from the last episode. So you double click on it, and you can go into this editor. And hopefully you know who did all the stuff. So anchors in this episode, well, Tiernan started talking first. Let's put Tiernan, O'Neill, Ella, Sam's. So what I'm doing here is you just select, this is all formatted correctly. And if you like backspace stuff or move any of these indentions, it's going to really mess it up. I don't know how it works, but it does work like this. So you can see here that I'm just replacing it within this format. So how you do what I'm doing is you just double click the word you want to change that word, and it'll fill it. So I did direct this and film, but it was just me that filmed it this time. So we can select Carla, delete it, delete Dugan, and there's still that space, so you can delete that away. And then go into the intro, filmed and edited by Ella. Then you do the first story. So let's do from the door to Condor is the name of the package. And you'll see that these words are bigger than these, so just do exactly what I'm doing and select and change it, and it should work. That actually messed it up. So you have to pay close attention. So this word, intro, is 108 geosands. Let's go to this. You can see it's 72. So you want to make it 108. Yeah, so do that for the rest of the packages, and then you can put in the new logo. Now, if you do have to add an extra line in here, so I actually helped Trent film this soccer tryouts package, what you do is hit enter and then tab, and you can see it tabs to here, tab it again, and it gets to here. You can type the name. And see, it's really weirdly formatted, but it's in the place it needs to be over here. So keep that in mind.